Hi guys, my name's SebTutor, I'm the man on the Silver Mountain, and welcome back to another video that I decided to do on the most recent Death Stranding teaser trailer, I suppose, in this instance. Now, I've done kind of breakdowns of the other trailers, and I've got my theory in regards to how the homo ludens idea that Kojima has played with a lot and that he's talked about a fair amount, or at least he did fairly early on, figures into all of this. Originally, I thought that Mads Mikkelsen's character would potentially be a kind of game dev, or the equivalent of a game dev, a reality dev, if you will, to act as an antagonist. However, thanks to this short 1 minute 9 second trailer, from, as you can see there at the top, the TGS this year, we get a very different potential idea of what's going on with certain characters. So what I think we're going to do, kind of like we have done before, is we will just watch all the way through it to begin with. Hopefully, unlike the last one, I would like to think that this one isn't long enough for me to get randomly copyright claimed for no reason. But we will have to see. But either way, I want to watch all the way through it to begin with, and then we will go back and break it down bit by bit.
Well, shit. I had a special surprise prepped and everything. But it looks to me like your hands are full. It's no biggie. You can always tweak the rules a bit. Woo! He looks hungry. All you gotta do to make it out alive is not get eaten. Sound like fun? Of course it does.
Okay, so it's not long, but there's so much information here. Now, the first thing is kind of interesting that we've got Sam in his gear and all the rest of it wandering along, including seemingly the little baby here. Again, though, it's all blacked out for the moment, but he is connected to it. He's all linked up. His little handcuff there seems to be suggesting that he's at the very least fine. And he's carrying a person on his back, kind of the same way we've seen him in some of the other trailers carrying corpses and things, like the instance where we first see the man in the golden mask turning up and acting in a way that is very similar to Mads Mikkelsen's character from the where was it, Belgium trailer, where you've got the army of the undead kind of rolling through what seems to be a Belgian city. But either way, let's go back through this.
Well, shit. I had a special surprise prepped and everything. But it looks to me like your hands are full.
Okay, so first things first, that I kind of find interesting is, again, we're seeing the character with the golden mask, either the one that was a corpse that then the corpse disappeared and then the dude in the golden mask showed up, which I suggested might be a respawning mechanic of some description in a kind of galactic sense or in a cosmic sense, which way this game decides to go with it. But also, again, we can see that it's the same character because his scanner, his tool here, is decidedly different from the ones that we've seen with Sam and the other members of like the Bridges crew that he was with in prior trailers. But yeah, it's a very interesting mask as well. But also it kind of plays into the again Homo Ludens appearance of the new Kojima Productions logo. of the kind of homo ludens in his spacesuit with his dark undermask with his kind of skull-like overmask. Now, I have to wonder if potentially this character is more of maybe a human who got hold of the power of the gods rather than anything else. But again, we don't really see much of his face, much of his features, so potentially take everything that I said in prior videos about Mads being a potential fledgling kind of game developer or universal developer. Those individuals, the 5 individuals that we've seen floating in the sky before, one of which seemed to have a pose at one point that was very similar to Mads Mikkelsen's character. And this character himself acted and gestured in a way in a previous trailer that was very reminiscent of the same gestures that Mads Mikkelsen's character was making. And I feel like there's a link here. I feel like there's something significant, but I'll get into that more in a moment. One of the things, though, that stands out is that he's saying that he's been specifically waiting, that he had a surprise in store or a surprise planned, but he's, for some reason, just because Sam is carrying someone, his hands are full, he's maybe changing his plan. He's deciding to tweak things.
It's no biggie. We can always tweak the rules a bit.
Which, again, where he actually says we can always tweak the rules. A surprise, tweaking the rules, he's essentially playing a game with Sam. But also, one of the other things to note is that he's got his own little chamber here, seemingly with its, I would imagine, its own little entity. Maybe not the baby, maybe not a baby specifically, but it's there. And the mask seems to give him the power to do all kinds of things, as we'll go into again in a moment. But he seems to be maybe more of a substantial high-tier bad guy, the end boss, rather, where with Mads Mikkelsen's character, even Mads himself, I believe, has made it kind of clear that, yes, he is an antagonist, but he's not necessarily the bad guy. And I feel like Troy Baker's character here, the man in the golden mask, is very much more seemingly the actual bad guy. But even then, he's looking to play a game. So again, he's if we're taking what we've said about Mads before in regards to testing and pushing against Sam or Norman Reedus' character, it becomes this instance of, well, all of the game devs that we've ever enjoyed games from are bad guys because all they do is look to put obstacles in our way, but they hope that we get past them. So he here has gone, oh, I had this surprise, but you're not in a fit state to deal with that surprise, so I'm going to change things. I'm going to change things, and I'm still going to expect you to do okay, because I'm going to give you this win condition, which he does in just a moment. But let's see his the mask. Probably not his powers, but the mask's powers. So first off, let me just pop back just a little bit there. So whatever he does, the mask itself seems to have a very direct interaction with the boundary between worlds. We've got the black fluid and the seemingly the people that have been pulled into it and broken down in it. And also we can, if you take a look over here, we can see that it looks like it doesn't look as happy as the baby that we've seen hanging in Sam's little chamber that he's got. But that is definitely a kind of a big head and an arm and a body. So at the very least, it looks like this chap has another one of these entities as well. And part of me wonders again, as I've mentioned before, if those are kind of younger versions, proto versions of the folks that we've seen flying in the sky, or if it's a case more kind of where we were talking about what was it, chiral energy and stuff like that before, where there seems to be this interaction, where certain people experience it more, where Norman seems to have a reaction to it, where Leah Seydoux' character has a reaction to it. Potentially, these are children that have been born on that barrier. They've got more, not just a reaction to it, but they have an interaction with it that is far and beyond what, say, Sam or Leah Seydoux' character can actually manage or interact with. So, you know, it's interesting in that regard. But also, the one other thing that I want to point out here is that to cause an effect, he needs to draw from, seemingly, not just the other side, but from the medium that exists itself. Because, you know, yes, we have his own little tool going, his own little scanner going nuts. We've got his other bits and pieces, but then he creates this thing, which as it lands, if we there we go, we've still got the more humanoid forms trying to reach up into it, but also if you actually look, some of these aren't just tentacles anymore, because some of these are just stretched out. Because there, to me, looks more like you've got a couple of limbs. And again, that could just be me seeing it. But again, also over there, you seem to have still not necessarily human forms, but stretched out versions of these the kind of humanoid-ish things before. But also, again, we're seeing gravity flow up. And also, if we keep going... I don't know if you just caught that, but you have the liquid flowing up into it as the humanoid denizens of the goo start to disappear. But again, one of the other things that stands out to me was that I said that potentially the man in the golden mask's true form, as one of those huge floating beings, would be the thing that seemed to have like hands for a head, because it also seemed to have its own golden mask. Potentially, though, it's just any creature that is created as a result of this individual's will being expressed through the mask ends up also sharing that kind of golden control scheme, if you like. And again, that's kind of, if we're looking at this again from a game versus gamer kind of perspective, with this individual creating challenges as more of a developer role, yeah, a developer can make anything look however they want. You know, they can create all manner of amazing art, amazing creatures, amazing things, and yet they all still have that control mechanism in there that comes from their game engine, that comes from their game, that comes from the way that they programmed it, that comes from all the stuff that we don't see. And so, you know, in this instance, it seems to be that equivalent would be in the things with golden faces, which potentially also means that some of the things that we've seen, the corpse from before and all the rest of it, wasn't necessarily purely a creature that was caused by or interacted with the black what seemingly interdimensional transition medium, but was also very specifically created by him, if it wasn't himself and then respawning. But then that does raise a couple of questions that I'll get to in a minute in regards to Mads. But anyway.
Woo! He looks hungry. All you gotta do to make it out alive is not get eaten. Sound like fun?
So he's again there. He's set a challenge. It's a very simple win condition. Don't get eaten. Get out. All you need to do to get out alive is get out of here and not get eaten. Yeah, it's a fairly simple, straightforward thing. There are numerous games that do this, where it's very much a case of, look, you need to run away because this thing's too scary. You need to deal with whatever else. And again, he's tweaked the rules so that they can have fun. He's just said that. You know, doesn't that sound fun? He's enjoying this. He's setting these challenges. He's putting them in that individual's way. He's putting them in Sam's way to have fun, to enjoy himself, to hopefully have that other person succeed, because he's given him a straightforward win condition. It's not this thing's going to chase you to the end of the earth. It's you just need to make sure you don't get eaten. Have fun, and that's it. And it makes me think that this guy is maybe who I thought Mads' character was throughout the whole thing. And it just makes me far more curious, because also one of the things that stands out to me, and this is what I want to say in regards to Mads' character now, and that is the Mads was had like the black goo dripping from his eyes. He was acting in a very similar way to this guy in terms of gestures. He had himself a large number of troops, but they weren't troops that were created. They were troops that were reanimated. And they were reanimated seemingly by being connected to each other, as per the trailing cables that wind away into the pouch that Mads has on his front. In which case, they're not a freshly created creature like this thing is. But if the black substance there can give way to whatever will this guy with the golden mask has in his head to go and just impress on the world, could he not have taken over Mads as a kind of lieutenant, as a capable kind of combatant that he could use or that he could leverage as an antagonist? Because the game developers usually, a game developer never sits there right in front of you to take a blow to the face. They are creating the bosses in the game to do that on their behalf. So would it not be, if this guy has this control and he's setting up these challenges, he's doing these things to Sam, would it not be reasonable to think that maybe with Mads' comments of, yes, he's an antagonist, but he's not the big bad guy, that maybe Troy Baker's character here, the man in the golden mask, has chosen Mads' character to be the main bad guy and has then set him up as such, with his own army, with his own control, that also has kind of passed on some of his mannerisms to Mads' character. But anyway.
Of course it does.
So he can disappear completely out into thin air. And that's something that we've seen, again, some of the other larger floating entities do. They just seem to phase in from nowhere, or they just seem to pop in and out. And again, that to me kind of goes, yeah, that mask, that seemingly just very simple, straightforward piece of gold, because it doesn't seem to have any tech hanging off it or anything like that. It's just really fascinating to go, yeah, actually this could be maybe he's even stolen the power of the gods, not just come into contact with it, maybe not even been granted it, but just that, again, this game is a Death Stranding. Something from outside of our natural environment on Earth has ended up getting stuck here, seemingly. And as a result, there are parts of it scattered all over the place. The huge destructive forces that are caused, the people that are getting hurt, it's all coming from somewhere. But anyway, I love this creature, so I wanna yeah, I just wanted to enjoy that raw. But again, it's fascinating to think that potentially a lot of the things that we've come across so far are kind of going to be turned upside down, where maybe Mads isn't as bad as we thought he was because he's been taken advantage of. Maybe Sam is being tested in certain ways by this specific person who potentially might even have a past with Sam, considering some of his equipment. We seem to see in the last trailer that came before this one, the 8-minute one, we had a look at a while ago, this one down here, the E3 trailer, whereby Sam seems to have a picture of him with other people, and he seems to potentially be a bit younger, but it seems to be quite an old photo and all that kind of thing. So potentially they do have a history together, but it's not a history within the current lifespans or the current situations of the people that they happen to be right now. You know, and that's a bit more broad in terms of speculation. But again, like this makes me think that maybe I was wrong. That maybe Mads isn't the game dev, and Troy Baker's character, the man in the golden mask, is, and we're going to see that build into something else. But especially considering Death Stranding is apparently now in its kind of polishing phase, and kind of assembly and polishing phase, rather, as I think Troy Baker said recently that pretty much all of the recording for the game has been done. So in terms of kind of putting it all together and then polishing it up and making sure that everything fits into the right place, you know, it's exciting to think that it's going to be taking form in a much more substantial way with all of the personalities, all the characters in place. And so again, I'm hoping that maybe towards the end of this year, beginning of next year, we're going to start seeing even more information trickle out that maybe not spoils anything, maybe not tells us anything substantial, but just gives us more to theorize on. Because again, one of the only reasons that I'm really looking forward to jump into this game is to find out if I'm right or not. I mean, it looks like an amazing game. It looks incredible in terms of the way it's been put together. But the biggest thing, and I think this is fair to say for a lot of people because we don't know enough about what the game is actually going to be about yet. I feel like there are a lot of people like myself who are going, yeah, we want to play the game, we want to see what it is, we want to find out what it is, because we all have these ideas and we want to find out what they actually amount to. So again, as I've said in other videos, you know, I'll leave a link to this teaser, this trailer, down in the description, but for you guys to go and watch it through as many times as you would possibly like, to look for as many other clues and many other things in there, even though it's, again, only 1 minute 9 seconds at its very most, so you know, you might not find much in there, but the thing that I'm really interested in is, especially if you've been keeping up with all these trailers as they've been coming out and some of the other bits and pieces that have been said in the background, you know, what are your thoughts? What are your theories? Let's compare notes. Let's see if someone's got a bigger, better idea, or maybe a more well-rounded idea that takes into account all of these different things and explains them in a different way. You know, let's share and compare, I guess. I've shared, your turn, and then let's have a chat about it. But either way, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the video, well, I assume later. Take care. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video or found it interesting, please drop us a like, share this video, and subscribe for more. And I'll see you in the video later. Take care.